Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you have not checked in for a while, it's been 5 years since my last video. And I just wanted to make a new video, a new check-in, and just kind of let you guys know where I'm at and what the plans are, what my art plans are in general, but also what my plans are for the channel. So the last time I made any videos was in 2020 during the pandemic. During that time, I was the artist in residence for Oklahoma City, and that's been one of my absolute favorite points in my career. I had a studio down at City Hall in Oklahoma City, and I would work in the studio and had public come in and interact with me so that they had a little bit more exposure to artists and their process. During the pandemic, of course, everything shut down, so I had pivoted to doing a state of the studio video every week where I was kind of letting the public know what was going on in the studio, what I was working on, and just including everybody in that process. The residency ended that summer, and I kind of took a big hiatus, not just from the videos, but I also just kind of stepped back a lot from a lot of the art work and a lot of the events that I was doing. And I am finally back in a place where I am able to put a lot more time and energy into my art. And I think that that's really reflected in some of the growth that I've had here recently. But I'm super excited to have the time with the work. And I have a lot of growth that's happening, and I have a lot of things that I want to share, and I'm really excited to bring everybody along so that they can kind of have a peek into the process and a little bit of the why and how. So I do plan on probably posting once a week and showing what's in the studio, what events are coming up, just different parts of the artistic journey, maybe some helpful tutorial videos. We'll kind of see how it all feels. But this will be the first one, and I think everything will just be really exciting from there. I'm definitely planning on growing a lot, not only as an artist, but I'm also really planning on growing as somebody on YouTube, learning how to do everything from scratch. But if you'll stick around with me, then we'll figure it out together. And so what's coming up for me, I have the Stillwater Arts Festival in mid-April, and then I have another festival that I will be doing at the Myriad Gardens, the Garden and Flower Festival. So those will be my 2 spring events, and I put in some different things for later this year. The goal is 4 festivals. So if I get some of the ones that I've applied for, then we'll hit the goal. Other goals are going to be commission work, get more original sales, more prints. I do have a couple of commissions coming up, hopefully, which I will let you guys peek into. Usually the commission work is a surprise, so those might not be posted for a while, but I will definitely let you guys know. And if you're interested in a commission work at all, please do message me. I love doing them. Part of the appeal of commission work is people always have a really good story behind why they want a custom piece of artwork, and having those stories behind the work is really what makes it fun. So I would definitely love to be helping you out with that. What my work has moved from, so whenever I posted one of my last videos, I was already starting to explore birds and flowers, wildlife, just experimenting a lot more, moving away from the flags and the fabric, and my intention was to go back to the fabric. But at this point in my career, I'm kind of tired of doing it. It's something that I did for a really long time, and it was really personally significant to me because I felt like each fabric painting that I did was an opportunity for storytelling. And that was awesome, and I feel like I kind of explored it to the extent that I wanted to. And then I wanted to start doing some new and different things. And so I have kind of played with those over the last few years and just taken like a really deep dive in this past year. So one of the big things is I'm doing a lot of flowers right now. and I love working on flowers. I've got several other finished ones. This one right here is actually just waiting for some glaze. I'm gonna even out the background tone a little bit because if you'll like kind of see, it's got different variations of how much oil is in here. So I'm gonna do like an oiling out where I'll take linseed oil and rub it on the surface so that everything is evened. But with the flowers, I'm not exclusively doing this, but I am kind of emphasizing this. I'm trying to do a lot of flowers that are native to Oklahoma and North America. And so these are evening primroses, and the reference photo for this were some that I planted at our former house in Edmond, and I put like a little mini meadow, and this is one of the flowers that really took off, and I thought it was absolutely gorgeous, and I loved the way that it had this glowy effect on it whenever the sun would come through. So it's one of the reasons I chose to paint this. This took me forever. I have been working on this for 4 years, and it was an absolute struggle to get this piece finished because underneath it is another painting, and I had moved away from that body of work. I was moving into this, and I was experimenting, but it's on a wood panel, and it's just the way that the paint was trying to lay down, it was not working for me. And it took a really long time for it to click, and I feel like it kind of just came together. So I'm really happy about that. But that is a native to Oklahoma flower, and I think that that's something that I really want to explore quite a bit in my work, because I want people to know that there is so much beauty that is from this area, from this region. And not only that, it's really important to support those natives because they support insect populations, which support bird populations. They also provide habitat for other animals. So it's something I'm super passionate about, and I am working on a meadow at my own house. We recently moved out of Edmond, and now we're in Chandler, which is like halfway between Tulsa and Oklahoma City. So we prepped a site last year, and we put in a new meadow, and that's going to take off this year. And I think when it establishes, we're going to have so many different beautiful flowers in there, and I'm going to have a lot of reference images to work with, a lot of inspiration that's going to feed back into the work, and they'll just kind of play off of one another, where the art will inform the garden, which will inform the art, back and forth. So I'm just so excited about it. It's always been a dream of mine to have a meadow. I've probably dreamed about that for 8 or 9 years, and when we got this property, it was one of the very first things that I wanted to do. So I will definitely let you guys know once the meadow establishes. I'll take you out there, we'll do a tour. I'll probably be painting out there. And then I'm also working on a lot of landscapes right now. I have not figured this out, like, at all. The landscapes are something that are super experimental for me because I've never worked with them before. I'm a realist painter, so I can technically paint anything to an extent that make it look real, make it look like that's what it is. But with my landscapes, because normally with my artwork, like I've got this right here. This is a good example of the realism that I have a little bit of stylization in my realism, but it's very detailed and it's very tedious. I am trying to get away from that with the landscape specifically, not with the flowers or any of the animals that I've been working on. It's just going to be really the landscapes that are experimental, and so I've been playing with a lot of brushwork, palette knife, and exploring different things with that. I've not quite hammered it out. I have probably 4 or 5 different artists that I follow, and I look at their style and their choices, and I'm trying to carve out my own in between, and I'm trying to figure out what it is that I love about their work that I want to bring into mine. So some of them have these insanely loose landscapes where it's really just really large shapes, and it's so abstracted that you're not certain it's even a landscape, but I love that. But then the color play becomes really important when you do that. There's other artists who will bring it, dial it in a little bit more, but there's still a ton of brushwork and palette knife work, and there's a lot of texture. And I love this as well, but it's like a really fine balance of getting too busy with too much brushwork while still maintaining a certain degree of detail and realism. So I haven't quite gotten there. Another issue that I've encountered is color. I tend to amp things up a lot with my work, and I'm not liking that in the landscapes at all. So I'm having to really mute the colors more and more, and I haven't quite settled on my palette yet. I am really excited to try a new trick. I am going to color match in Procreate on my iPad and sample the different areas on the reference images to see what those colors look like isolated from the image, because when I paint, my brain automatically converts any image, whether it's outside, inside, I mean, if it's printed out or if it's in real life, my brain is making its own color palette whenever I paint. So I'm having to turn that filter off a little bit, which means that I'm trying more with observation. So I will be out walking and doing different things, and I'm observing the colors, and I'm trying to really like think, well, if I was mixing up colors right now, what would I put together? And trying to really note the cools and the shadows and the warmth and the highlights, and figure out what I can alter to get closer to what I'm after. It's been a lot of fun. I love working on the landscapes. They don't work out all the time. They actually don't work out a lot of the time, but they're fun. And that's been kind of the big thing, the big driving force for me right now, is I am having way more fun in the studio than I have had in a long time, because I can switch from the really tight and really tedious work, and then I have the looser stuff. So those are super fun to work on. I will grab an example. And so back on the note of the different landscapes that I'm attempting, I thought this one was super fun. This one I was really happy with. I did a lot of palette knife, almost exclusively palette knife. I kind of brushed on a little bit, but I like that there's this forced looseness to it and abstraction, and I like that there is variation in the colors because of what's picked up on the palette knife. So that I thought was super, super successful, and I love this chartreuse with the blue. So I've been doing a lot of that. That was one of my very favorites. I also did, this one was an extremely abstracted one where it's not even really a landscape anymore, but I was working with the colors, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I also have this here. This one I love the colors on, and I feel like this is getting closer to a balance of like true colors and my palette. So I mean, I think as an artist you make stylistic choices intuitively, so you can't get rid of that element that's part of how you paint. So I'm not trying to erase my style, I'm trying to find what suits me for the landscapes, and this one's approaching it. I like that it's kind of got a mixture, like the little pergola gets a little more detailed, but not too detailed, it's not too fussy, and then there's just shapes for the background. So that one I felt was very successful. And then this one here, this color palette it's one of my favorites because it's the most muted and moody, and I don't normally do that, and it was different for me, so it felt like I had like made a lot of progress with this one. And also I had to really dial back detail on the little deer in it, which I don't know if you can see them too well, but you're not meant to. They're really just kind of meant to be in there a little bit. But that's why that one was so fun. And then I also had this one, which I also love that it is so abstracted. but the color palette does get a little punchy for me. But I'll be doing a lot more of these. These were all on primed paper, and I really love the little edge on them. So these will be something I'll be offering up for sale at the Stillwater Arts Festival. So you can definitely come see me there. Let me think. Yeah, so that's what we've got back here that I'm currently working on. I'm testing out different colors to glaze over this. It's a saucer magnolia, and not native to Oklahoma or North America, but still gorgeous and still something that you can find in the landscape here. It's a really commonly used landscape plant. And it's absolutely stunning in the spring. We should see those bloom here in the next several weeks. But I painted it in black and white so that I could have all of the detail that I wanted in there, and then glaze over it, because reds and pinks are really hard to paint and have tonal variation because they're so saturated. And once you start messing with them and you add whites, it really mutes them a little too much. So I'm able to take a glaze and put it over the white, and it can be still really pink, really red, really purple, without losing that color saturation. So that's why I chose this. It's called Grisaille, and that's the method of layering glazes over a black and white underpainting. So I haven't quite settled on them. I did try and play around with that up here. It all came out wrong, so I haven't figured it out yet, but we're gonna keep going. All you have to do is wipe it off. It's just paint. So if, like, I did try to glaze it when it was a little too wet still, and I lost a little detail in here, but I can still put that back in, so it's not a super big deal. A lot of people think, you know, well, if you do something on it, like, oh, it's messed up, it's ruined. It's not ruined. It's paint. It's just like paint on your walls. You can paint over it. If you want to paint your bedroom bright red and you get it up on the walls and it's horrendous, you just paint over it. And it's the same thing with the paintings. If you put a color down and you're like, oh God, that's terrible, it's not the end of the world. All you have to do is either take it off if you're still able to, or wait for it to dry and cover it up. So you can tweak that forever and ever. It's not a big deal. I really don't stress about it too much. It's funny that I don't stress about it because I stress about everything else but not painting. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. That should be done here in the next probably week, so I should be able to show that on next week's studio talk. And then this one right here is a little deer that I'm working on. Since we moved out to the country, I want to do all things nature, all things scenery, flowers, birds, everything that's just, it's beautiful, it's inspiring, it's calming. It's, for me, the work that I'm doing right now is to elicit in myself and others a sense of calm, a sense that you can rest, that you're almost in the garden having that experience of a warm sunny day and you are at peace and there's a breeze and you hear the birds chirping. That feeling is what I'm painting. So one of my favorite things about moving out to the country is how many deer we have. So we try to attract them a little bit, and I have them to look out the back porch a lot of mornings, right at the beginning of the day when I'm having coffee. I can kind of peek out and see them. So they were naturally something that I wanted to include in the work right now. So this is just a little fawn. This is the underpainting, so we still have to do all of the detail work, and I'll flesh out all of the fur and you'll be able to see that texture. But I am going to keep the background just this really soft pink, and I really like to do these kind of solid backgrounds on the work right now because it is calming and gives your eye somewhere to rest, and it kind of ties everything together if you repeat similar colors frequently. So that's going to go in a whole series, and all of that will be debuting in the next couple of months, and there'll be a lot more. I'm in the studio almost every day of the week right now, so this is probably the single most productive part of my art career that I have had almost the entire time. So I'm really excited to see what's going on. I'm really excited to bring you guys in on it and show everybody where we're at, where we're going. So I hope you guys will stick around for the ride. It's gonna be a little bit bumpy, but hopefully you enjoy it. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want to see more, do not hesitate to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.